And I'm back. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have some of you guys back or not, but basically I had some disruption in my connection. It's not something that you need to worry about. We were talking about Plan C. Plan C, what's happening right now. I'm going to repeat myself a little bit about this, but that happens during the live presentations, that sometimes we have connection issues and so on and so on and so forth. I'm sure you are aware of that. So what's happening with the Plan C right now is the Senate Mendez confirmed that they will be presenting it before Senate Parliamentarian. And they are working with different advocacy groups to basically on their presentation to see what the final language, I guess, of the presentation will be. But right now, what they're offering, basically what they're talking about, would be up to 10 years parole. And Senator confirmed that, of course, it's not an ideal situation. It's not something that they would love to basically have for the immigrants. But unfortunately, the problem is that they also say that without the reconciliation and without the Republicans being on board, it will not happen, right? The immigration reform will not happen. So the feelings is that this is probably the best that we can hope for. Well, we'll see, right? But it will be parole for, I believe it's for 5 years, plus 5 years you can, for another 5 years you can extend it, ability to travel internationally and of course domestically, protection from the deportation, meaning that you will not be physically deported. You don't need to worry about that during this parole time. And from what I understand, if it's going to be like parole in place, you will be able to use it for adjustment of status purposes in situations when previously you did not have a legal entry. And of course, what's going to happen now, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen now. What's going to happen now is that media is going to say, it's going to help 10 million people. It's going to help 10 million people. And the Senate Parliamentarian is going to say, it's going to help so many people that its effect is going to be much larger than effect for the budget. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, all right? But at the same time, we'll see if enough, maybe people from the Republican side are going to agree at least on that. And then they will be objecting less to the parole, opposed to the way they objected when green card pass, rather, was an essential workers pass was presented, right? So we're going to see what's going to happen with that. It's also unclear when exactly they're going to be putting this plan before the Senate Parliamentarian. By the way, I know that some of you have been asking me about recapturing of immigrant visas, unused immigrant visas. I know that there is a new proposal about that, but only for the years 2000 and 2021, I believe. It will help some people, of course, those who are stuck in this lengthy waiting categories. It will speed up the process a little bit because you're probably aware, if you're one of those people, that the backlogs are crazy. Plus, the consulates are closed. So you basically have no hope to resolve the cases, right, anytime soon. But we're going to see. I think where there is a will, there is a way. I'm not sure if any of these proposals are going to pass. I do believe that something will be passed. People ask me about this all the time. They say, do you believe something will be passed? Of course, it's my personal belief, but I do think that something will be passed. What is it going to be? Well, at least something like a parole. And I also think that they can implement parole without the reconciliation if they want to. That's how I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. I guess the time is going to show. Now, if you guys have some questions, I'm going to be happy to answer them. I saw a lot of questions during the interrupted stream, so if you'd like to repeat them, please do, because I don't think I can go back to the streams that we had just like 5 minutes ago. Hi, Mo. Hi, Ali. Hi, Yada. Hi, Mo. What about people came after 2011? Right, that's a good question. What I would suggest to do is not to worry much about this at all. Why? Because we only have some rumors. There is not even a plan that we can read. We're not even sure what exactly the proposal is going to be. Is it going to be for people who were here from 2011, or is it going to be for anyone who, let's say, has been here from as of January 1st, 2021? We do not know. But once certain, if you may rely on some information and make your best estimates only if something is going to pass or not, right? So right now we can guess what about these people, what about somebody who came in 2016, but we don't even know what exactly is going to be passed, right? It can be changed. I can tell you, well, yes, that's what they want. That's a proposal that they have. But then what? It doesn't do you any good, right? Because it's just a proposal and it's not even presented to anyone yet. So we're going to see if, in fact, people who came here later than 2011 will be disqualified from this. Then you guys will have to find a different way to qualify for something that is in existence, or perhaps something new will be implemented. Maybe the Biden administration is going to propose a regulation about a new waiver, just like Obama did for I-601A, right? Call it I-601B and grant waiver for those who disqualified from employment, for example, sponsorship, right? It's possible. We'll see what's going to happen. Hi, Ali. Any plan for those who came after 2011 and who work essential? Right, so that's almost the same question. There is no specific talks about essential workers anymore, not at least right now. All right, so I don't want to disappoint you completely, but Plan C is not focusing on any work-related groups, like job-related groups. It's basically just for somebody, right now at least, what we know is just for somebody rather when they entered and then undocumented. Super unfair for those who came after 2011. Yes, but at the same time, remember that when they pass a law of any sort, a regulation, there will always be some people who will be disqualified, right? Maybe they're going to say it's unfair because the regulation doesn't provide waivers. Maybe they're going to say that it's unfair because it's only going to be for those who have certain family members in the United States, just like with this I-601A waiver. You wouldn't qualify for it if your qualifying relative is a child. It cannot be. You have to have a spouse or a parent. Why not a child? It's just, change it to a child, and so many more people will be able to qualify for it. But in my perspective, like from my perspective, I'd rather take something opposed to nothing, because every time they're trying to propose something, and remember when Republicans were trying to propose something, Democrats were the ones who said no, because it's not enough. And now where we are at zero. We have nothing. I mean, apart from stuff that's already is in existence. Hi, Nafisa. Hi, Elvis. Let's say Plan C is a success and gives a chance to those who spending I-601A to adjust inside of the United States instead of consular processing. Which route is faster? It doesn't matter. It's always safer to be in the United States than going through the consulate proceedings. Okay? Always. Why? Because I've seen recently some crazy cases where you may be accused of something you've never done. And it's silly. And it has nothing to do with your case or with your testimony. But then you're going to get stuck in administrative processing fighting it. All right? So if you have a choice between doing something in the United States opposed to doing something outside of the United States, like through consular processing, you choose being safer with your family in the United States. All right, that's how it works. That's a little bit of times that you potentially may win. Does not matter. Trust me. Is there any copy of Plan C present to Congress? High gender. Not right now. Right now, we don't have any copies. as I said, they're still working on the text of the law or proposal. I guess you can call it the law because it's going to be a part of the regulations, right? But not right now. Hi, Macrine. What happens if an asylum case is denied? Where it's denied. If it's denied after the interviews, don't really call it a denial. They call it a referral to immigration court, right? But it's essentially denial. So what happens? Nothing. You're going to be referred to immigration court, and there you will be able to again present your asylum claim before the judge, now de novo. It's like the first time. But of course, the judge and the prosecutor are going to have a copy of your previous filings and your testimony. So if your case is denied at the level of the immigration court, you may be able to appeal, depending on why it is denied, right? Oh, let's say your appeal may be successful or not, depending on why it is denied. So depending on what stage of the proceedings you're at, and maybe you filed for asylum before, maybe you somehow disqualified from it, it can be different answers. All right, if you guys have some more questions, let me know. As I said, I lost the previous chat, unfortunately. I mean, it's somewhere there, but I'm not going to go back to my YouTube to click on it because I think what's going to happen is that I'm going to lose you guys again. Hi, Subha. Any information on visa recapture, family employment in the reconciliation bill? Not in the reconciliation bill, not anymore, I think. But there is a different proposal that proposes to recapture visas for 2020 and 2021. 2020 and 2021. Hi, Alexi. If people sign volunteer department and never left, have U.S. children already, was coming on G1 legal entry, can they do something now or should wait? All right, so if voluntarily, okay, if you signed a voluntarily departure, right? If you signed a voluntarily departure, well, usually when a person signs voluntarily departure, they had to leave the country. I always say that it's worse in the consequences than immigration court order or removal. Why? Because for 10 years, you cannot file for anything unless very, very specific exceptions would apply, okay? So usually for 10 years after you didn't leave, there is this bar, you cannot do anything. And later you may or may not, but you will always have to deal with the order of removal, basically, against you. So I would say that you should really maybe order your file and talk to an immigration lawyer to see what's possible. Will it be possible for you to maybe reopen the case now in the light of the Supreme Court decision? By the way, it's the deadline to file motions to reopen is approaching. It's November 16. The deadline to file motion to reopen. It's not like a deadline, but what happens is that the prosecutors said that they will presumably exercise their discretion in your favor if you're trying to reopen the case. If your notice to appear did not have date and time, and your time for cancellation of removal actually never stopped running, right? So if it's possible to reopen your case based on that, then you may be able to file for cancellation of removal in your situation. But again, without seeing your file, no lawyer will be able to give you good, reliable advice. It just can give you some ideas, and then you can take them, do your research, get your file, and consult with a lawyer. Hi, Babatunde. What happened to those in deportation proceedings and those with criminal cases? Nothing, guys. I mean, deportation proceedings continue to be going on, all right? It's not that they stopped. In fact, courts are running, individual hearings are scheduled, and you better get prepared for them. Criminal cases, still problem if you have criminal convictions. Nobody canceled that. So I would say that you have to, work with an attorney in this situation for sure to see if, your criminal possible charges or convictions may be a problem or not. What is going to happen, hi Peter, for pending asylum applicant? Will they also get advanced parole? Well, if we're talking about the parole reform that they're trying to to implement, I believe that yes. What actually they stated that it will be on case-by-case basis for humanitarian reasons, right? That's what now they're saying the parole will be for. But I would say that they should be able to qualify for this parole. Why not? I think we will know more once we have the actual text of the law, right? Hi, Jack. Will we see any better processing times from Texas Service Center? I have no idea, guys. I do not know. Really do not know. I cannot tell you. I wish I could give you this information, but I think nobody knows, to be honest. Right? Some employees right now are going to have problems due to the COVID situation because they asked to have vaccine or they would lose their jobs. I think the deadline for them to have those vaccines will be November 7th, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm afraid it may affect federal employees with USCIS as well. Oh, you're welcome, Peter. I wish I could hear you guys, but I can't. I can only hear myself talking to you through the screen. Any employment, hi Siva, any employment-based provisions in Plan C? Not to my knowledge, guys. I mean, if you get parole, then you're going to get work authorization. That's that, right? It's going to be open market work authorization, but it's not going to, be anything related to your type of employment that would lead to a green card. So that's the situation. Hello, everyone. Hi, I opened a bank account and put my stats as citizen while I not. So should I close my account? I think you should not be asking these questions in a public forum, okay? I'm going to tell you something about this claim of US citizenship, right? Because I think that's what you're asking. It's actually a very interesting topic. Why? Because sometimes there are courts that ruled if you could open a bank account without calling yourself a US citizen, if it was not necessary for you to do that to get the bank account, right? Then it may not be an issue for immigration purposes. But again, I saw decisions going both ways on a very similar facts. So I would say just talk to an attorney and don't share your private information, Hi, Adriano. Can anyone in Plan C have a green card sometime? I would think so. I think what they're really trying to do is to help people who cannot qualify for adjustment of status because of what we call 245C or lack of admission or parole to qualify for it. But I do not know. And they may not tell us why, because as I said, what's the problem with the parliamentarian? It's the logic she's using in saying no. When she hears that it's going to help millions and millions of people, she's going to say no. Because what happens is that she says, well, the effect of it is much broader than the effect on the budget. Yeah, it's always going to be broader. Can you really estimate? Can you really weigh the effect of family unity for a family with little children that they can remain together versus money? Can you really? It's always going to be that the effect for the family is going to be much more valuable than any dollars that you can estimate it, right? It's like, I don't know, at least in my head, maybe somebody says, give me 100,000 and I don't want to know my family anymore. I don't know. But for that reason, if we use that logic, it's never going to work before her eyes unless something changes, right? Unless some immigration groups are really going to put good pressure on the elected officials and they're all going to try to work together, which they really should, right? Which they really should. Will the parole allow for getting driver's license? It should. If it allows you to get work permit, then you will qualify for driver's license under the Real ID Act, yes. Hi, Soul. Can I win defensive asylum in current administration F1 student from Nepal? Has nothing to do with current administration, guys. I mean, you can win your asylum if it's a strong case. I do not know the facts of your case, so I cannot comment on how strong your case is. Are you subject of any potential bars? For example, you have citizenship of a third country, or perhaps country conditions changed in your country to the point that the reasonable fear is no longer there, right? So it depends. I just follow advice of your lawyer and prepare for your case. And if you're an F1 student, right, why are you in defensive asylum? That's what I want to know. Because if you have a legal status, government usually would not put you in proceedings. All right. So, hi, more. Having volunteer department, but still date not expire. Voluntary departure. But the date did not expire. Is it okay to bring my case back because was trying to go to Canada with work visa, but I got denied? Oh, listen, I think you should talk to an attorney, especially before you're trying to leave the country or anything like that, because you will execute your order, and this is far too important for you to ask a lawyer who's not your lawyer online, right? To rely on that. I would say that you have to order a copy of your file and talk to an attorney about this. You probably had a lawyer in the past. This will be the best person to discuss the situation with, unless something happened to them or you really, really don't like them, right? And then you would like to go for a second opinion. Hi, Peter. What happened to those who already have work permits through pending asylum application? How will Plan C affect what effect it's going to have on them? I have no idea. I'll be honest with you. Do not know. Because parole is a different thing. Parole, the fact that you have a work permit right now, it doesn't change your legal situation. I hope you know that. You still very much is removable if the government wants to remove you, right? If you lose your asylum case. But parole is a different thing. Parole will be protecting you from removal because it's a form of deferred action. Okay? So, parole, you will not need to worry that you'll be deported. That's what it is. So, work permit, I mean, has no really direct connection, maybe, but the status is very much different. Asylum pending and parole, two different things in this situation. Asylum pending is like just you're waiting for your case to be decided, right? And parole is different. It's like a deferred action that protects you from deportation. All right. Hi, Irma. Cancellation of removal case was terminated by immigration judge because of mistaken NTA. What's next? Did you want it to be terminated? That's the question. Did you want it to be terminated? All right. So if you didn't want it to be terminated and you believe that you have a strong case, maybe you should discuss it with your attorney, right? If you want it to be terminated, then you're in the same position you were before you started your case. So then again, you have to discuss it with your lawyer. Do you want to go back to court and try for it, or you'd like to see what's going to happen with immigration reform? So it's hard for me to advise you. As again, I will need to see your file, need to talk to you, what your goals are. Are you willing to accept the risk of being deported? Because guys, when you're in front of an immigration judge in immigration court, there is a risk of you being deported. Sometimes you start your case and you have this awesome judge. You went to track immigration. You found that they grant 97% of cases. You feel confident. You feel so fantastic. 3 years down the road, that judge is no longer there, or your case was just being assigned to a different judge who has very different statistics. And now your life perspectives changed a lot, right? So there is always risk in being in immigration court. Hi, Monica. Is fraud or scam entitled for U visa? Fraud or scam entitled to U visa? Nobody who is doing fraud or scam entitled to anything, all right? But if you were accused of immigration fraud, or if you committed a fraud, an immigration fraud or misrepresentation, and you're filing for U visa, there is a waiver that available to you that you can file for. Now, there is no guarantee that the waiver will be granted, right? But is it available? Yes. For example, you were accused, well, okay, not you, but somebody was accused of marriage fraud, and now they potentially can qualify for U visa. This is one of the rare circumstances where marriage fraud can be waived if that waiver is granted. Okay, I hope I answered your question. All right. Hi, Douglas. Sent my AOS package in March. Still no biometrics. Only sent me the medical deficiency notice. That's fine. Who cares? Who cares? Why do you care about that? Tell me. Maybe they sent you a notice saying that they don't need your biometrics. Maybe they already have enough of your biometrics. Your case is going on. I mean, March, still no notice. What can I tell you? I mean, it also depends what I've noticed. It depends on where you're at. I noticed that in Connecticut, for whatever reason, adjustment of status cases are going very fast, like 6 months and you're called for the interview. I guess it depends on where you're at. I really cannot guess, you can't guess. Hi, Pujitha. Would-be people waiting in backlog can apply for parole who came to the US before 2011. Again, I wouldn't be able to tell you yes or no because I don't know all the qualifications, right? Presumably, judging by what they're saying, it should be available to anyone here. Maybe from certain date they have to show they've been residing here. Anyone who is not a green card holder, who don't have asylum status, not asylum pending, but asylum status or refugee status, right? And those who don't have some sort of a status, like maybe people in legal status will not be able to, but people with asylum pending should be able to because it's not a lawful non-immigrant status. Then when we see the text, and sometimes I'll be honest with you, sometimes you read the text and then USCIS says, oh, it's actually not what we meant. We meant this and that, and that's how it's going to be. So I would say that we'll need some time to really get to the point where I'll be able to answer those questions with confidence. All right. But I think yes, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. Hi, Joe. Is Parliamentarian already approved Plan C? No. They haven't even put it in front of her yet. They're still working out the language. All right. That's the update we received today. Senator Mendez said that they're still working out the language, the presentation. Hi, Owen. Can a green card holder apply for children who have overstayed? One is over 21 and around 18. Sure, but will they be able to get something out of it? That's the question. Because the green card process starts with a family petition I-130, right? And it's a basis for the green card. But will the person be able to get the green card in the United States? That's the question, right? Usually, if they're not in lawful non-immigrant status, they will not be able to, all right? Now, if they have to travel outside of the United States and they haven't reached 18, even though they overstayed their visas, then they will not need a waiver because unlawful presence does not start to run until person turns 18, okay? But if it's a son or daughter, somebody who's over 21, they will not be able to adjust the status usually unless they qualify for some exceptions based on the petition by a U.S. Green card holder parent. Also, if they get married, they will be completely disqualified. Why? Because the law does not allow for petitioning of married sons or daughters of permanent residents. Now, if you are a single parent and the child did not reach 21, I strongly recommend that you guys check out SIJ, Special Immigrant Juvenile Status, okay? If you're a single parent, or if the other parent is abusive to the child, neglected the child, or abandoned the child, okay? Yulia Buiko, hi. I had a master hearing at Federal Plaza that was scheduled for mid-July. It was cancelled, yes, in June, and no new date provided. Is there any option to get a new date? No option. You probably will have to wait for the judge to schedule a new date. Maybe new date will not be scheduled completely. If you have a lawyer, your lawyer filed a notice of appearance, and what's going to happen that the judge instead is going to send you guys a scheduling order and is going to tell you when to submit your pleadings, and after that, when to submit applications for relief. All right. So the procedure is a little bit different, at least it should be. I've noticed that some judges still call you in person for master hearings at 26 Federal Plaza, and some judges do follow the memo about the canceling the master hearings and issuing notices for like scheduling orders. All right. So depending on your situation. All right, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your questions. I probably left some of them out. We'll try to maybe answer them in comments, or if you would please repeat them in comments, I'll be very grateful so I can answer them. It was a pleasure. If you liked this video, if you found it a little bit helpful, please like and share it. Subscribe to my channel so I will be able to stay in touch with you. And I hope to see you soon.